Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Scroll to Learn. If you have not subscribed my channel yet, please do subscribe and share my videos with your family and friends. In this video, we are going to learn the properties of integers under multiplication. Under multiplication, the first property is closure property. What is the general rule for closure property? If two integers are there, a and b, when you multiply these two integers, we should get an integer. Let us take an example. If a is 5 and b is 2. If a is 5 and b is 2, both are integers. When you multiply these two integers, what we get? We get an 5 2s are 10. 10 is also an integer. Let us take one more example. If minus 3 is an integer and 2 is also an integer. When you multiply these two integers, what we get? We get 3 2s are 6. Minus 6 we get. Minus 6 is also an integer. Let's take one more example. 7 into minus 3. 7 is an integer and minus 3 is also an integer. When you multiply these two integers, what we get? Minus 21. Minus 21 is also an integer. So that means closure property, all the integers follows the closure property. What is the closure property? A into b is equals to integer. Whatever the two integers you take, when you multiply this, we get an integer only. That means integers follow the closure property of multiplication. We can take one more example here, like minus 2 into minus 3. Minus 2 is an integer and minus 3 is also an integer. 2 3s are 6. Minus 2 into minus 3 we get as 6. 6 is also an integer. Next property is commutative property. What is the rule for commutative property? If two integers are there, a and b, so a into b is equals to b into a. If you change the order of the integers, the answer must be equal. Let us take one example. If a is equals to 3 and b is equals to 5. Both are integers. Let's see what happens. 3 into 5 is equals to 5 into 3. 3 5s are 15. 5 3s are 15. So that means in all the integers follows the commutative property. If you take two integers, a and b, okay, so when a is an integer and b is an integer, when you multiply these two and again you change the order, a into b, you just change the order, b into a, we get the same answer. That means integers follows the commutative property. Next property is associative property. What happens in associative property? If three integers are there, a, b and c, so a into b into c is equals to a into b into c. Let's take an example. If a is equals to 2, b is equals to minus 3 and c is equals to minus 4. Let's see what happens. Let's take a into b. What is a into b? 2 into minus 3 into c. What is c? Minus 4. What happens? 2 3s are 2 into minus 3, it will be minus 6 into minus 4. 6 4s are 24. Minus 6 into minus 4 we get 24. Next, let's take this a into b into c. What is a here? 2 into what is b? Minus 3 into what is C? Minus 4. What happens? 2 into 3 into 4 minus 3 into minus 4. What happens? It will be 12, and 2 into 12 is equals to 24. So in both the cases we got the same answer, that is 24. That means here integers follows the associative property. What is associative property? If three integers are there, a, b and c, if you multiply first a into b, if you multiply first two integers, then multiply with the third integer, it will be equals to, if you multiply first, second and third integer and then with the first, we get the same answer. That means integers follows the associative property. The next property is distributive property. What is distributive property? If three integers are there, a, b and c, so a into b plus c is equals to a into b plus a into c. Let's take an example to understand this. If a is equals to minus 2, b is equals to 1 and c is equals to 3. If a is equals to minus 2, b is equals to 1, c is equals to 3. What is a here? A is equals to minus 2. So minus 2 into what is b here? 1 plus what is c here? 3. It will be equals to what is a? Minus 2 into what is b? 1 plus a is minus 2 into what is c? 3. So here minus 2 into what will be 1 plus 3? 4 is equals to minus 2 into 1 means minus 2. This plus into minus 2 3s are 6. So here 4 2s are, what happens? Minus 2 into 4 means 4 2s are 8. That will be minus 8. And minus 2 minus 6 will also equals to minus 8. So here what we can understand that multiplication distributes over integers, over addition of integers. All integers follows the distributive property. You can try this with different examples also. You can take different integers here, a is equals to, b is equals to and c. You can try this. What is distributive property? A into b plus c is equals to a into b plus a into c. Next property is multiplicative identity. What is multiplicative identity? If a is an integer, when you multiply it with 1, it does not change the value of a. Let us take an example. If we are taking a is equals to 5 and multiply this with 1. So what happens? 5 ones are 5. When you multiply any integer with 1, it does not change the value of the integer. Let's take another example. Minus 2 into 1. It will be minus 2 only. So let's take one more example. 7 into 1 is equals to 7 only. So here what happens? Whatever the integer you take and multiply it with 1, it does not change the value. Let's take 1 into minus 9 is equals to minus 9 only. So here what we can understand that for any integer a, when you multiply it with 1, it does not change the value of integer. And here the 1 is called the multiplicative identity for integer. The 1 here is called as multiplicative identity for integers. Next property is multiplication by 0. What it explains that if you multiply any integer with 0 or multiply 0 with any integer, we get the same, we get the 0. So let us take one example to understand this. If we take -3, -3 is an integer. When you multiply with 0, we get 0. You multiply 5 with 0, we get 0. So in general, what we can understand that whatever the integer is there, when you multiply it with 0, we get 0 only. So integers follow the multiplication by 0 identity or property. Let us recall all the properties. Under multiplication, we have different properties. First is closure property. If two integers are there, a and b, when you multiply these two integers, we get an integer. Like -3 is an integer and 2 is an integer. When you multiply these two, we get the integer. Next property is commutative property. If two integers are there, a and b, when you multiply this and multiply again by changing its order, like b into a, we get the same answer. Like 3 into 5 will be 15, or you do 5 into 3 is also the same. That means integers follow commutative property. Next property is associative property. If three integers are there, a, b and c, first you multiply first and second integer and then with third integer, or you multiply first, second and third integer then with first integer, we get the same answer. Integers follow the associative property. Associative property is a into b into c is equals to a into b into c. Next property is distributive property. If three integers are there, a, b and c, a into b plus c is equals to a into b plus a into c. Here, all the integers follows the distributive property. In this, multiplication distributes over addition of integers. Next property is multiplicative identity. If any integer is there, if integer a is there, when you multiply it with 1, we get the same integer. That means when you multiply any integer with 1, it does not change its value. Like 5 into 1 is equals to 5. -2 into 1 is equals to -2. Multiplication by 0. If you multiply any integer with 0, we get 0 only. Like -3 is an integer, you multiply it with 0, we get 0. 5 is an integer, multiply it with 0, we get 0. 5 zeros are 0. Hope you understood all these properties under multiplication. You can try all these properties by taking another examples. Thank you so much.